On this week's episode, we talk about the update of the Peloton Pledge.
And our big interview with the Peloton Wife, actress Monica Ruiz, and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 23 of Pelo Buddy TV. I'm Amanda Siegel and I'm joined by my co-host John Pruitt. John, hi, are you there?
I think I'm here. Am I here, Amanda? I never left.
You never left, did you, John? Well, it's so lovely.
I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. It's lovely to see you, and glad we can get on with the show. Did you have a good week?
Yeah, it's nice trying to get back into the normal post-holiday routine. Yeah, what about you?
Exactly. It was a quieter week for me, and also kind of just getting through a being in the DC area, a political week, but all good, and got on that bike and got my workouts in, hit a milestone this week, as did you, nice. John Pruitt, which you keep very quiet. 2,900, my friend. That was pretty impressive. Awesome.
You as well, 1150?
1150. There's debate though. There's debate onto whether we push those 50s, once you kind of get over 1,000, it kind of ends, right? And then you're supposed to go like maybe hundreds, but yeah, that was quite an awesome shout out from Annie, right? Annie Love gave you that shout out.
Hi.
Yeah.
It was definitely a good one. Oh, we have a visitor. A visitor. Well, hey, Jackson.
Okay,
welcome
you're gonna jump in here. You can say hi real quick. This is my one and only, my golden boy, Jackson. The heir to the high five throne.
That's it. And I understand that Jackson already has his place on the bike. He loves his rides with Cody, right?
Yeah. Who's your favorite? You can't hear them, but they're asking who's your favorite instructor. If you had to pick just one, who do you like to ride with?
Probably Robin.
Robin?
Ooh,
really?
Going after his mom, right? His mom likes to ride with Robin.
Okay, well, tell him your leaderboard name before you go. That's the Red Menace.
we love to have a little bit of Jackson on there. So that's awesome. Well, John, as we do each week, we always like to just remind everybody, before we get to our new segment, of how to keep up to date with us and all of our content across all of our platforms. Every episode is released on our YouTube channel. You can just go ahead and hit the subscribe button at the bottom right-hand corner. That way you never get to miss an episode.
Yes, and if you are on the go, you can listen to us on all podcast formats. Just search Pelo Buddy TV. Subscribe to us there, and don't keep us secret. Don't keep us a secret. If you like the show, tell your friends and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you, and maybe we'll read it if it's a positive one.
John,
we'll just ignore it.
No, I love that. That folks, and tell us what you want to see too. Not only just a review. If there's certain things that you guys would like to for us to kind of tackle and hit, then absolutely let us know that. And of course, we're on Facebook and Instagram. So just hit the search button. And at this point, I know it was a big week for Pelo Buddy. We had 25,000 followers on Instagram, and that's always really, really exciting. So make sure that you like either on Instagram or Facebook. But let's get on with the show.
Let's go.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
Well, John, I think that the big news for this week, and certainly to start our news segment, is the update from Peloton on their Peloton Pledge. I'm not sure if you remember, but last year Peloton had pledged a four-year, $100 million investment in the fight against racial injustice and inequity, as well as promoting health and well-being. John Foley had written a message to our community in where he had said, and I will go ahead and quote, in this pivotal time in history, I believe we have an enormous responsibility to do our part to combat systemic racism. And I am committed to ensuring that we use our resources, platform, and influence to change our society for the better, into a place where everyone can and will thrive. Peloton have gone on to update the community on what they are doing, and according to the post in the output, they're looking at initially. They really wanted to go back to what's going on inside of the Peloton family, as the corporate aspect of it, and they're looking at expanding their diversity and inequity and inclusion team, and have actually gone ahead and hired Dr. Crystal Morris as the new Senior Vice President of Global Head and DEI. Dr. Morris actually had joined the team just this past month, according to her LinkedIn profile. She had previously been the VP of Global Inclusion and Diversity at IDEX. That was actually just before starting her own company. Peloton have also increased their hourly wages, which they had done back in July of 2020, to a starting wage of $19, as they feel that would be the most appropriate dollar amount that would certainly attract and retain critical team members. I think that it just shows us that a company that's done financially well and has a good foundation should be, passing that forward, paying that forward, right? We've seen it with Amazon, we've seen it with bigger companies, and I was really impressed by that. I was really impressed by, certainly, as I said, a way to attract good talent, and that goes far beyond just the instructors. As we know, they're the face of Peloton, right? But there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and I think it's an important part of the Peloton bubble, so to speak. So I'm also looking forward to what they're looking at doing, which is launching a new development and learning program for their staff, in which they wanted to keep in mind when they were recruiting, with their staff, that everybody has that inclusive type environment, similar to their partnership that they had with the historically Black colleges and universities. As we remember, they had that collaboration back with Beyonce back in the summer. So it shows that they're looking at adding that anti-bias training into the recruitment and interviewing process. So, John, I think this is definitely a very welcomed approach, and certainly makes one feel very proud to be a part of the community.
It only reinforces my passion for the company to see them advancing this initiative, because I know when the Black Lives Matter movement really started to take off, you would see all sorts of companies making these statements that they're all about equality for all race and genders. And Peloton made that as well. But I also, I feel like it was a lot of talk, but I feel like Peloton's now really putting their money where their mouth is, and they're really walking the walk. So it just, it makes me really proud to be supporting a company that I love so much, that, they care so much about their employees and wanting to really advance the culture for everyone, not just, at the top.
No question. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and I'm right there with you. I mean, I feel that is absolutely something that has made me incredibly attracted to the product. It is just their way of inclusivity and how they've treated their employees. I mean, just little things, right? The little things from, closing down the studio when it was the most appropriate, whether it was over a holiday or certain things. They just, treat everybody with such respect. And I think that's amazing. That certainly is amazing. Yeah, we saw some not such favorable things though. So you tell us about the latest delivery issues.
Yeah, so we all know the woes of lots of delivery delays, reschedulings of bikes and treads this past year. So recently in the New York Times, Peloton was featured in a, mainly less than favorable light. The headline was Peloton's rapid rise is threatened by its slow delivery. And basically, a retail analyst was quoted saying that the Peloton, the idea, has grown faster than Peloton, the company, and basically continued to say that all companies really need to figure out how to grow into their hype. And Jessica Kleinman, who's a senior VP of communications at Peloton, quoted saying the company, has been transparent all along about their estimated wait times with their customers. We acknowledge that this is not the Peloton experience that they want to deliver to our members, but getting back to where they need to be is their number one priority. And I know there's a Facebook group now, a dedicated Facebook group for Peloton delivery discussions with almost 10,000 people. Obviously, because everyone is. So many people are in the same boat, with this huge pain point trying to get their bikes or their treads. I know they're struggling. It's getting better, but no one could foresee this past year with what happened with the pandemic, everything shutting down, supply chains being halted. But I think slowly but surely in 2021 they're slowly getting back on track. I know I've had to wait for, a bike swap appointment and for a service appointment. So I definitely know where a lot of people are coming from.
Right. Look, we've said this often. It's a great problem to have. I mean, it's certainly not one that, it's not a great, well, it's a great problem, kind of a pun on words, because it's not great for the consumer that's waiting for their product. It's a great issue for Peloton to have as far as the demand is so excessive. And I know that, there was certainly hopes that with them offering that trade-in capability of when you were switching from a original bike to Bike Plus, they were hoping that folks would trade in their bikes and they would be able to utilize that with the, the program, certified
pre-owned.
Exactly. And that didn't pan out. I think folks have recognized that they could kind of do it by themselves, and so that changed the dynamics of what they wanted to be able to offer there. But I think they've done the best that they can, as you said, under the circumstances. And as we've reported before, they've invested millions in purchasing space to build and being able to do stuff here in the States and not having to rely on the international market. So let's hope that gets back to some normality within the next few months as production continues to happen, and we get to see that. Yeah. So switching gears just a little bit, John, I alluded in the beginning of our of the show. We obviously had a busy week here in Washington with the changing in the guards and the changing of power, and with that came a chuckle, I think, for all us Peloton believers in that. Our new president is a huge Pelotoner, and of course that came with a lot of chatter about what President Biden was going to be able to do with his Peloton bike in the White House. We all know that he is very active as far as his health and wellness goes, and his fitness. He likes to start his day on his Peloton bike and includes some strength and other activity. And we were all wondering, well, what's going to happen as far as bringing that bike into the White House? Because there certainly has been some discussion as to the security risks that the bike could potentially pose, right? Having the camera and the microphone on there could potentially be a security risk, depending on where that bike was going to be resident in the White House. And I'm sure that if it was down in a gym somewhere and he wasn't talking top secret things, it would be fine.
Yeah, low risk area.
Right. And I remember seeing your treadmill in your office before you moved to downstairs in the basement. And if you had a job that potentially had high risk security, it would have posed a problem, I guess. So it was.
That was also a less than ideal location for having a treadmill when I'm on the phone or reviewing some sort of advertising piece for my job, and she's working on her glazed donut look with Jess Sims on the trailer.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's in a
So
much better
Jill-
place in the basement
Right.
now.
So the same thing with
the
Jill. If
bikes.
she wanted to pop on the bike while Joe's in the middle of a discussion, it may have posed a problem there too, right?
Yeah.
But it was interesting. There was a pretty detailed article by a local DC company. It's actually called DCRainmaker.com. And the author had gone on into much detail as to how the bike could potentially be modified to allow for use in the White House. So, together with making sure, as I said, being placed in a good location so that we knew that it wasn't going to interfere with any of his discussions. But you know what, John? Ironically, there was actually a job posting that appeared this week for a cybersecurity analyst at Peloton. So
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
So clearly Peloton were ready to get right on that and figure out how they were going to look at, as I said, from the broader spectrum, because it wouldn't only be technically our president of the United States, but there could be other folks that, with so many of us working from home, that could potentially pose as a risk. So the job description went on to say that they were looking for someone with diverse skill set. The successful candidate would work across the organization to drive, plan, and carry out security measures to protect the cloud environments, network systems, and technology assets. And that the analyst would go on to perform assessments, development, and implementation information security policies and procedures and guidelines. So it does seem that everybody is right there on top of making sure that Joe has his beloved bike for the next 4 years. Could you imagine, John, if we were told that we couldn't have our bikes or our tread for the next 4 years? I think I would go into more. I don't know if I'd take the job. I mean, it would just be, come on.
Big deal breaker, yeah.
It would be a deal breaker for sure. So I guess there'll be lots of talk.
I did read in one random article that Michelle Obama apparently had Peloton make her a bike without a camera and microphone, but neither side, they declined to comment. So
right.
I'm sure that's being worked on. We'll probably never get confirmation or hear
of course
more
not.
of it. But
of course
hopefully he gets fixed up.
Yeah, I did have a chuckle though. There was somebody, everybody has their jokes, and somebody we suddenly saw a POTUS _46 on the leaderboard, and everybody was like, yeah, right. The only thing was that he rode that Wicked Ride on Thursday, and I knew that there was no way that on the first day on the job Joe was going to take that risk in doing Leanne's Wicked Ride.
That's quite a deduction, Leanne. Good detective work.
Exactly. But wouldn't it be funny? I mean, we probably, who knows? We may have ridden with him live. Well, certainly you, since you do early morning rides, could very well have jumped on a ride at some point with him. So I thought that was a good chuckle.
Politics aside, I don't like to get political, but I'm just waiting for that one day during a press conference when someone asks the Peloton related question to the press secretary to Joe Biden and says, tell us about your exercise routine, Joe. Right. And then he goes into the Peloton and then who's your favorite instructor? Because that's just something. Every time I hear Peloton mentioned, my ears just perk up immediately. So
isn't that the truth?
It would be really, really fun to know.
Exactly. That is
hopefully
really
somebody
funny.
gets in there and asks that question.
Exactly. That would be a good chuckle for all of us. I agree. Yeah.
Oh, so what, let's see, moving on, we have a new challenge, a class stacking challenge called Stack for More. And pretty straightforward and simple. You have to stack 6 or more cardio or strength classes. Now, I know when we think cardio, we think, bike or tread, but it's specifically under the cardio or strength category. So a bike ride, a ride or a run would not count towards this challenge, but it's a 14-day challenge from January 18th to February 1st. So got some time to earn a new badge, Stack for More.
Interesting, and we all love a good badge, right? So,
Yeah.
it's funny. I definitely had started this new year saying that I wanted to incorporate more strength and go a little bit more diverse in my workout routine. And just it's all about time, right? And how you can kind of figure out. And when I get my opportunity to be able to work out, I really do want to jump on and do a ride. I
Right.
always seem to feel like I never catch up on some of the rides that I want to do. Hey. What about maybe you and I do a challenge and see if we can, maybe this next coming up week, we can get our stack. I mean, I need somebody to push me. I need someone to push me.
Stack a little 6-pack one day each.
I think that's going to be a challenge, and we can circle back next week and see whether you and I had both done it. So
we'll plan a day. We'll knock it out.
I think that's a great idea. A great idea. With that, there was a lot happening on the class update. That's for sure. So we saw this past week the launch of the new Broadway series. As we know, last year they had gone ahead and launched the Broadway series with Hamilton. Well, this week, past week, they had introduced the Wicked musical into the realm of Broadway, and you know what, John? It is one of my favorite musicals. I have been fortunate enough to actually have seen it 3 times. I have seen it twice on Broadway, and I actually saw it once in London on the West End. I got to see Idina Menzel in her performance in New York many years ago.
Oh yes, I love the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
Yeah, John Travolta's name for her. I love that. Yeah, it was just amazing when that was launched, and I literally know the songs by heart, and I don't know many songs by heart, so that was really fun. And then of course to have Leanne be the one to do the ride, I timed my milestone perfectly, so I got to do my milestone on that ride with Leanne, and it really was absolutely fantastic. The series did also include a run, as we know, with Jess King, and a full body workout with Maddie, as well as a yoga flow with Kristen. So did you have an opportunity to do any of them?
I wanted to do Leanne's, but it's on the to-do list.
Okay.
I did catch Maddie's post-strength workout after he had taught his class, and he still had his monkey wing outfit on, and they were sort of flapping behind him as he was talking on Insta Live. So I always catch. I want to do more workouts with him and with Jess, but for some reason I always seem to just catch their Insta Lives after they do their workouts.
Oh, that's too funny.
So
yeah, because they pop up.
I'm just joining
Instagram.
and talking. Yeah. I just joined and talk and I wasn't even in the workout, but I'm just there. I'm just there for it.
Oh, John, you're too funny. Yeah, no, I know. As you said, it pops up in your Insta, so you know that they've just done
I get the
but you don't necessarily know that what they've done.
Right.
Yeah. Well, also, moving on to some of these new classes that were offered this past week, we actually saw Olivia launch her Breakthrough Run series, and that was a 4-week early morning series that she's offering for folks to be able to do that. So that looked like something fun for the runners out there, and really exciting with Valentine's Day just around the corner.
Yes.
Cody will be back with his XOXO, right?
XOXO with Boo.
That truly is a fun series that he put together. So that's going to be launched next month. Not launched, but you know what I'm saying. Kind of reboot back. It'll start back next month. And those rides were hysterical. I know you had certainly must have done them. I mean, you were a big Cody fan.
Well, a year ago when he started the series, leading up to Valentine's Day 2020, it was a lot of fun. But I very clearly remember, because we only had one bike then, first world problems, sharing one bike with my wife. But my wife and I, Jackie, were arguing each week over who was going to get that live. So if I got it the week before, she was going to claim the bike for the live ride, and now we have two. We don't have that problem anymore. But I maybe got to do that series a year ago, maybe twice. I can't remember how how many were in that series, but one or two of them. And the fun thing is, in each XO Cody ride, he does like this little Q&A portion of the ride where he asks for questions ahead of time on social media, and he'll do this funny Q&A where he'll get into character and read from these cue cards, and he'll put on funny glasses sometimes. And he read one of my questions, which was, tell me about your worst date ever. And he went into this quick little story where he said, I was getting together with this guy to go on a date, and we were hanging out at his house, and we were getting ready to leave to go out to dinner, and we walk outside, and he takes out a pack of cigarettes and starts smoking, and I said, I gotta spend 2 hours? No, And it's funny because the production is so fun, because he'll read the question directly to the camera, and then the camera quickly cuts to the side, and then he'll answer it to that camera, and it's just funny, the quick cuts from camera angle to camera angle.
Oh, that's awesome.
It'll be fun when it comes back.
That's awesome. Well, if I know you've probably got a clip there somewhere, and who knows, maybe we can slip it into
got it right here in my back pocket.
Right? Maybe we can just slip it into this week. I'd love to see that. I think that's cool.
I'll see if I can dig it up.
I'm sure it's right there in favorites. Well, lastly, Ben, actually, no, two more things. Ben had actually launched his dance series, which I thought was kind of cool. Wow. So he did his dance series with a 30-minute ride last Tuesday, which I was fortunate enough to take live. And, as we all know, Ben was a DJ in his prior life. I think he still loves to DJ. He absolutely loves his music. And I do have to say that Ben has a knack to be able to just kind of really give you the music you want to hear on those rides. And a lot of people ride for the music, but this dance series was amazing, and he really put together an amazing ride. So if you haven't done that yet, folks, definitely jump on that ride. And right hot off the press, Peloton announced this past weekend that they are going to do another Rock This with a Spotify collaboration that they had introduced in the past. And that's going to be some of the biggest tracks on the Spotify playlist, where Emma, Selena, and Kristen will get to showcase. So that's really cool. And their collaboration with Spotify has been amazing. And the fact that you can, like your song, like one of the songs while you're doing your run or your ride, and then get to pull it off your Spotify. It's a fantastic. I mean, what an incredible, ability to be able to do that. And then if you take it on the road, you're able to listen to that particular, slew of songs that you like, which I think is really good. And then one last thing just to note, there was actually a change in the schedule for our UK and German folks this past week, where they kind of did a little bit of a flip-flop, and the German instructors got to be earlier on the schedule than the UK. So for those folks that are looking at the schedule and kind of were like, my instructor's not at the usual time, they do tend to do that. I think from time to time, is flip the schedules around. Yeah. And I think also give folks an opportunity here in the States to ride live with our UK instructors. So just wanted to throw that out there and make a note that folks knew that. So yeah.
And in some other instructor news, Jess Sims, she finally appeared on the Ryan and Kelly show, Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest, this past week. She was supposed to be on, I think, the week before, and I jokingly said that she got bumped because there was an echelon instructor doing a demo. I kid. Just having fun, Jess. But she did actually. They ran out of time, so her segment, I guess, got cut, or maybe she didn't even do it last week. But she did make it on this past week, and she did a sort of a jam-packed 5-minute workout segment with Ryan and Kelly, and they were all on their individual workout mats, and she was taking them through parts of her HIIT workout routine, doing a little Tabata on the floor. So, she talked about her glazed donut look, and it was great because I guess Kelly Ripa is no stranger to Jess Sims. She said she's been working out with Jess for years. And so they were both going through the motions with her, each one. She was doing shoulder taps, froggers, knee jumps, just a few off the top of my head. So it was a nice, quick little segment, but it was fun. seeing her on social, posting about it afterwards and a little behind the scenes.
Yeah, she definitely loved that. I got to see it live, and I was really impressed. I was actually really impressed with Ryan and how they both were down there on that mat and doing their stuff.
Yeah.
And he kind of wanted to go into the commercial break rather quickly, but.
Yeah, Ryan Seacrest was in danger of breaking sweat.
Exactly. Could you imagine? His hair may have gotten messed up.
Yeah, there was one strand out of place, so they had to
good for
cut away
Jess.
quick.
Good for Jess, and I was so thrilled that she got the opportunity to be on TV. That was awesome.
And such a natural too.
Yeah.
She was just, I didn't really see any nervousness. Like I would, even though I guess there's no studio audience really, so that takes a little bit of pressure off. But yeah, she just seemed like she was going through the motions in a normal strength class.
100%.
She would do for us.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was fun.
It was awesome.
And Allie Love, who was also made an appearance on the Good Morning America show with host Robin Roberts. She wasn't there at the studio. It was from her apartment. But it was a nice interview. She spoke to Robin and kind of shared her basics of bossing up for 2021. She talked about, 1, establishing a standard, 2, setting the tone by doing your best every day. She said starting your day off with gratitude, which can just be very simple as being intentional and mindful with your gratitude by just, saying to yourself, I'm happy to be breathing today, to wake up. And she kind of said how that sort of mindset that would have sort of a positive impact for the rest of the day and really kind of sets the tone. So that was a great interview, and also talked about her big engagement, of course.
Right, I mean, she had that ring right out there.
The bling, I know.
The bling was blinging, and I've said this.
It was sparkling.
I said this a million times. Allie is just so authentic. There is something about her that I've always said I'm not a religious person, but I don't know. I get on the bike with Allie and something comes out. And, I rarely miss a Sundays with Love. I just feel it just takes me somewhere different. And, it's not just about the workout, and it's about, it's about here. And so many of us have said that, exactly. Yeah. And that the bike has helped us, from that emotional aspect of what we've all kind of dealt with, especially in the last year. So it was an amazing interview. So I know that it's kind of on social now if folks didn't get a chance to see it. And I'm sure it's on the Pelo Buddy website. So definitely take a look at that. She's amazing.
Yeah. And Christine D'Erical. She always says
that her name is Raha. She makes fun of it.
Yeah, she'll go, I'm Christine D'Ericole. So I just do that. Christine D'Erical, CDE. She was recently talking on Insta about being on the Jill Schlesinger podcast, Jill on Money. It was a 2-part interview that you can catch there. I think we'll have a link, obviously, for you to check it out. But apparently, Jill has been taking spin class with Christine since Christine started teaching over 18 years ago, back on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, apparently. And Christine had mentioned that Jill was probably at the very first spin class that she taught, where she uttered those, her signature "I am, I can, I will, I do" phrase.
Amazing.
So that was a nice interview, kind of, talking about Christine's background, growing up in Pennsylvania, and then her career with spin. And I didn't know that Christine, she taught at SoulCycle at one point. I don't know if it was right before she came to Peloton, but one of my friends, John Bradlow from the JSS tribe and our Gens Men group, he was in a spin class when Christine was teaching at SoulCycle. And he was in a bike kind of in the front where I guess it was a spot he always liked to be because there was a fan pointed right down on that bike that would give him a lot of relief. And at one point during the class, Christine just walked over and flipped off the fan and said, "You have to earn that air."
Oh, I could picture her doing that.
That's so Christine, because sometimes...
Totally picture her doing that.
Back in on-demand rides, when I'd see somebody take a sip of a water bottle, she would say something to the effect of, "Swallow your spit." Like, "We don't want water right now. Power through." It's so Christine, like the competitive side.
That's too funny. That's too funny.
You gotta love her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, good for her.
Yeah, and a couple birthdays this week. Happy birthday, Ben Aldis and Cliff Dwenga.
You got it. Look at you. I'm impressed.
I want to get. There's something that makes me bring out like an Australian accent when I say Cliff Dwenga. Dwenga.
You're right. There is like that twang at the end there. There is that twang. Yeah, and I love the way Peloton are so amazing in how they acknowledge their instructors and wishing folks wishing them on their Insta and their Facebook pages and making us all aware, and it is truly is amazing. What was kind of cool and funny was watching Ben talk about being in complete lockdown as the UK are right now and celebrating his birthday. And look, I there's no secret that him and Leanne are just my faves, and I've loved watching them. And he was just so raw in how he spoke about how he was going to be celebrating his birthday and that it wasn't going to be the norm. And actually, I'm part of Ben's army, and we all chipped together, and everybody contributed, and they sent him a small gift, and then put money towards donations to his charity, that he had chosen, which was really cool. And he went on to give such a heartfelt thank you message, and I thought it was just amazing. So I think it shows you, and not to say that some instructors are better than the other, but it does show you the instructors that do put themselves out there, and some of them feel more comfortable versus others. There's no question.
Yeah.
Some feel. I know with Jen, and I'm sure you could probably qualify that for me, but she was less on social until she realized that it was that's really how you get your fan base, right? You got to put yourself out there. You got to get people behind you, and with Ben and Leanne, they've been very open. Once they came out with their relationship, and everybody just rallied around them, and it was really lovely to see how they celebrated. And then Leanne went on to post about what she had planned for him for his birthday, and it was fun to see. It was really fun to see. So
it was cute to see Ben, posing. I didn't know he was only 20. He's 28.
I know.
Which was so young. I killed to be 28 again. But because I'm in my early 30s or so. But it was super cute seeing him. He was holding up the 28, the number 28, in the big metallic balloons, like he was celebrating a ride milestone.
Wasn't it cute?
That was fun. So hopefully Leanne really
I think she did. I think she did. Yeah. And they actually got they brought food in from one of my favorite restaurants in London. It's an Asian fusion restaurant called Roku, and there is no question. I had been in London, a couple times a year, and over the last 10, 11 years, and there was not a trip where I would not eat at Roku. And I messaged Ben, and I go, seriously? I said, that's my favorite restaurant in London, and I named where they were, etc. And he responded. It was kind of cool to see that. So it was fun to be a part of his birthday. No question, it was fun to be a part of his birthday. Yeah, so wow, John, it was a busy week, a busy week for everybody, on the bike. But I think the most exciting part of this week is definitely our interview. I am so excited for everybody to get to take a listen to our
Monica,
faithful Peloton wife, right?
Let's get to know another person behind the leaderboard name in Pelo Chats.
Now it's time for Pelo Chat. Well, John, I could be all giddy and act like an excited schoolgirl, or I could be professional and pretend I've been doing this forever, but somehow I think the former will prevail. This week we are especially pleased to welcome Monica Ruiz, a household name, you ask, or just another Peloton community member who recently hit a 200 ride milestone and got an awesome shout out from Jen Sherman. So, do we know why we have her on the show? Yes, it just happens that she is the infamous Peloton wife from the much talked about Christmas commercial in 2019. Monica, are you there?
I am. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Well, welcome.
I feel like a real member now of the community.
Right? You got your shout out. I mean, you are it. And I was not going to let that pass. I mean, we all hope and pray for those shout outs. So when you get them, you get them from the pioneer of instructors, Jen Sherman.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was like, I wonder if you can tell that I was like crying. I seriously.
you do know we don't get. You do know we don't get to see you on the Peloton, right? I mean, we don't get to, you're on there, but we don't get to see you.
But when she started saying like, this time last year, we had a holiday commercial out, and I was like, oh my God, she's going to talk about it right now. And so I like took my phone off of the bike really quickly and was like trying to record it because I wanted to show it to my husband because he was like, you got to tell me if you get a shout out. And it was my birthday too. So I was trying to line up a birthday with a milestone.
Double.
That was my goal. I was like, maybe if I line them both up, it'll be better chance. Then there was like 15,000 people on the ride. I was like, there's no way.
I love it. We'll teach you 2 secrets. John and I are really good at this. So secret number 1 is if you don't get to record it while it's happening, you can actually go back to the app. You can replay from that day and you can screen record it from your iPhone.
I was going to ask John how he's doing that. I'm like, why is it so good?
You got to get tech savvy, Monica. I mean, come on.
I should have known. Oh
yeah, John's the pro. I mean, when it comes to that, there's no question. But I got to tell you, you got to learn how to screen record, and you can go back to all of that. All of that on the. Yeah. So I guess your Peloton wife claim to fame is not quite over yet, right?
I was like, I couldn't even believe it. I seriously was like, this is why they had me say that in the commercial and get really excited about it. When I was like, that's me. And I was like, at the time,
they said my name.
Yeah, at the time I was like, oh, that would be cool. But I had no idea how unbelievably cool it would be. I was so overly excited about it. I'm like, the rest of the day, anything can happen. My day is already set. It's done. I'm so happy. That's all I needed.
Wait, I thought Hannah Corbin really shouted you out in that commercial. You weren't actually in that ride?
It's not. And that was Grace from Boston. That was not me. It's not me.
Say, who the hell is Grace from Boston, right? Because I went back to listen.
So, Monica, tell us a little about yourself. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Southern California. So I was born in San Diego, but we moved to San Pedro, which is LA County, but it's real close to like Long Beach when I was 2 or something like that. So I was there most of my childhood, and then we moved to the South Bay, which Redondo, Hermosa, Manhattan Beach. I was in Redondo for junior high and high school. And then I went to college in Santa. Yeah, nice. It's awesome, and it's really nice. And when people think of Los Angeles, they always picture just like Hollywood or the places that are on TV. But there's so many different areas in LA that it's like surprising to some people. Like, oh, this is a neighborhood just like where I live. So I really love it. And I went to school in Santa Barbara. I went to UCSB. So I never left California. I've never lived outside of California.
Oh my word, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah,
I know, I'm a wimp. I can't go anywhere in the winter. I thought that I could just layer things. Like, I'm like, oh, I can't just layer a bunch of clothes that Californians buy. And everyone's like, no, you need like a real winter coat. Oh.
Yeah.
Do you travel a lot though? Have you been able to travel a little bit and kind of get to some of those colder places?
Not this last year, no. But my husband's from Massachusetts, so when we have gone there in the wintertime, it's pretty cold. So yeah,
it's a little rough.
Yeah. No,
so how did you get into acting and modeling?
After college, I was going to be a teacher, so I started substitute teaching. I was like, I'll be like a multiple subject elementary school teacher. Like, it just really appealed to me, the job and having summers off and all that stuff at the time. And then when I started doing it, I was like, I don't know if this is exactly where I want to be. And so I thought, well, maybe I can go back to school, but I was in debt from college already. So I thought, like, I'll just get a job and save up some money, and then I'll go back to school. So my sisters were always like, just go to the open calls in LA and see if any agency thinks that you would be able to work, because you just don't know. You need like a professional's opinion sometimes. I mean, some people have the natural confidence in themselves, but I didn't. So I just went to some open calls, and all of the ones that I went to offered me a contract, and I was like, oh, maybe I should do this for a little bit. And then it just kind of built from there. You know, you start out doing print modeling, and then you start doing commercials, and then you're in acting classes and you're really, really enjoying it. And then you're auditioning, and it just kind of like built from there. But it's, you know, it's been a while. It's been like 15 years or so now. So it's just funny that when the commercial came out, everyone was like, who is this person? And I'm like, I've been on TV for a really long time, but just in commercials.
What was your first gig? What was your very first acting gig? Or was it a commercial?
Well, the first commercial that I got was actually, I think my acting gig was before my first commercial. It was on a show called The Game. I don't know if you've seen it, but it runs like constantly still. I think they show a lot of reruns on like BET. But there were a lot of different famous actors on that show, and I got to do an episode with them, and that was really, really fun. And being on set, I was like, oh, I really like this. This is what I want to do. So I just been, you know, and it's funny because in the back of my mind, I'm still like thinking I'm going to go back to college one day and get my master's. I don't know why. I just keep thinking that. I'm like, should this be the year I go back? I'm like,
That's too funny. That's awesome, though. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. And as you say, not everybody knows. You don't know whether you're going to make it. You don't know kind of what's going to happen. So,
and it's so up and down, yeah.
And look, you're in LA. There, you know, you and every Tom, Dick, and Harry is out there trying to, make it.
Right.
So yeah. So I'm sure that definitely was interesting for you when you made it in a way that you never thought you would.
That was so weird. It was like I had no idea what to do. I know a lot of people work really hard to find an audience and to build their social media and to get the spotlight even for just a few moments. But when it happens and you're not trying, it's really terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine, going back to thinking about it. And, I guess you just stop to think about just how dumb people really are. And I'm sorry, but there's only one way of saying it. There was just no question. I mean, come on. I mean, did people really think that you were like the real person? Like, seriously? Are we that naive?
There were a lot of people, even in LA, where I was like, you live around here and like you've seen like productions and stuff, and you think that I really did that? Like, it's just really funny. Really, really funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like that aspect of it. And then there's the aspect of it that, okay, hang on a second. Okay, that's one thing, you think she's real, fine. But then, like, really, like the fact that then people can't work out and husbands can't buy their wives Pelotons or bikes or gifts for their birthday. I mean, to me, the whole concept of it was just so bizarre. I was almost floored when I saw what was going on. And it was my first year in Peloton. John's been on the platform a little bit longer than I have, but 2019 was my first year. And I was one of those like diehards. I had gotten my bike in 2018 and really had only done about 25 rides. I mean, it was kind of there. My husband said to me, I can see this. It's going to be the clothes horse. You're never going to use it. So it's funny, so for me, I had really gotten into it in 2019. So the commercial was me. I mean, that was me. That was me taking selfies. That was me waiting for my shower.
So many people reached out to me and said the same thing. Yeah. I feel like the problem was that it was appealing to people that already had the bike and understood. And it was the people that didn't have a bike yet that didn't get it,
Right.
Yeah, they just looked at it as being offensive. Yeah.
Right. And would it have happened if there was a small part of the commercial where they showed me asking for one for Christmas? You know what I mean? Like it makes me
that
think
it made
like,
a difference.
It was like the perfect storm of the things that were edited out and the way that people could kind of create their own story from what was missing. So I always wonder about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's no question that you've got the last laugh, my friend. There is no question that you got the last laugh, because what ended up happening?
I got
Tell
a
us.
bike. I got a bike. I know everyone kept asking me, like, do you have one? And I'm like, no. But even the director, I remember he was like, oh, they don't just give these things away. Like, he's like, I've shot like a couple commercials for them and I've had to pretty much beg for one. So I was like, oh, so I was thinking in my head, like, oh, I wonder if there's some sort of discount I can get when we were shooting it. And so when they called my agent to tell me they were going to send me one, I was like, are you serious? Are they really going to send it? So that was really, really, really cool.
Did they give the person that played your husband a bike?
No, but he had purchased one. He purchased one for his girlfriend, actually. So, plus he didn't blame the commercial on his face. I did. So
yeah.
I took one for the team so that I could get a bike for my husband and I.
We thought you had. I mean, we thought you were perfect. So clearly, you've got two cheerleaders here that look back and say seriously, as I said. There's no question. I mean, from that perspective. Well, moving away from the ad, and John had asked you a little bit about yourself. I know your husband just opened a restaurant recently in the LA area. Tell us about that. That's so cool.
Well,
in the midst of a pandemic.
He's worked there for 15 years. He started working there. He moved out to California from Massachusetts and was living in the Valley, and he was working on sets, doing all kinds of odd jobs, just sort of living the dream. Oh, I'm going to move out to California and see what it's like, and then eventually I'll move back to Massachusetts. But he had a friend that was staying by the beach, and he said, you should come down and check it out. And so when he came down, he's like, I want to live down here. Why am I in California and I'm not living at the beach? So he just went up and down the pier and asked a bunch of places if they were hiring. He ended up getting a job at a bar that was called Dragon at the time. And he started out as a busser and just worked his way up pretty quickly to manager and managed the business as it changed names. So it didn't change ownership, but it changed names. And so they had to completely change the concept and everything. And so he'd been there for close to 15 years, and then the business became available to be purchased, and he got the opportunity. For him and his partner, he'd been managing with for most of those years, figured it out, and they bought it, and then the pandemic hit. So
oh, wow.
It was really terrible timing. Thankfully, they have an unbelievable landlord that's just been really supporting them in a lot of different ways. I mean, he's not like saying you don't have to pay rent or anything like that, but he's being really, really patient, and he wants them to succeed, which I think is really great right now, because there are plenty of people that got evicted or lost their businesses entirely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And now they're just doing to go, because we're not even allowed to have outdoor dining here. So,
yeah, same here.
So
what kind of food is it?
And what is it called? We got to give it a plug.
It's called Waterman's. It's in Hermosa Beach. It's right on the pier. You can't miss it. And the food is very eclectic. It's the previous owner who opened it and had the idea for the concept was a surfer, and he went all over the world surfing. And so he kind of wanted the menu to reflect all of those beautiful places that you can visit in the world and surf. So it's a really big variety of food, but the food is delicious.
What a cool concept. Hey, hey, John, that's such a cool concept, because something different, something
so you get
different.
Tacos, or you can get like a poke bowl, or you know what I mean? So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. All right. So for those West Coast viewers and podcast listeners, you got to go down to Hermosa Beach and get to Waterman's. Say it again.
Waterman's, yeah.
Waterman's, good. I got it right. Right. Waterman's.
Yeah, and once it's reopened, and people can come back in, it's such a fun place to go. The DJ's always so much fun, and it's a really people just love it there. It's kind of like a Cheers situation where there's just so many regulars. So many people I've met my husband there. I have his manager met his wife there. We have so many friends who have met their husbands and wives there, and it's just such like a good vibe. Everybody just ends up having such a great time.
That's awesome.
What a cool story. I mean, that really is so cool. Hey,
Yeah.
that's amazing. All right. Well, as soon as we're traveling, there's no question that the West Coast is a destination. So
Yes.
definitely we'll come say hi and get something
We'll have to.
get something to eat. That's really cool. That's really cool.
So before the commercial, or before the audition for the commercial, what was your level of awareness with Peloton?
You know, I had seen a lot of commercials, but I felt like they were a little vague about what Peloton offered. I was really surprised when they started telling us all about, oh, there's live classes and all about the leaderboard. And I was so blown away at the idea that an instructor on a live class would be able to see that you were on it and shout you out. I honestly had never seen a commercial that kind of expressed that or showed that. I just thought it was just a really beautiful piece of exercise equipment that people that could afford it would buy and have in their homes. I had no idea about the live aspect of it for some reason. So
Right.
yeah, I was really, really surprised. I'd known about it before. I'd actually auditioned for a Peloton commercial maybe a year or two before that. I remember being really nervous about clipping in and out in front of people in the audition.
Oh, so they had a bike there.
They did. Yeah, and they showed us like a video of how to clip in and out if you weren't familiar. That way you're not like fumbling in the room while everyone's just watching you. So it was, yeah.
So no level of, you hadn't been to other spin studios?
I've been to spin studios before. I'd been to like the Soul Cycle studio. There's one not far from me, so I'd been there before. But I really liked those classes. But I feel like with the Peloton, I know exactly where I'm putting it. You know, like in the class, they'll just say, turn your resistance up. I never really knew if it was as much as they were asking for us to do or in a range that other people around me were doing. So I was always sort of guessing. And I love that with this bike, you're not guessing. You know,
you got the metrics, you have the numbers.
Right. That is so helpful for me because there are days when I don't even realize how much energy I have until I'm on the bike and I'm like, wow, like I'm actually able to turn the resistance up. And then there's other days when I'm really tired and I'm like, why does this feel so heavy? And I know that exactly where it is where I've been before. So I really like that. I really, really like that about it.
It's nice. You can quantify it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the concept of, the whole Peloton concept to me is something that gives one that ability to be in control of your own workout regime, of your own, platform of what you want to do in your own time. Yeah, sure. If you want to do a live class, great. But if it doesn't work for you and you can jump on an on-demand class, you get that aspect of it as well.
Right.
And then I think what we're all learning about Peloton is that it's not just about the bike. There's just so many, aspects of the platform that, that folks can do, whether it be, strength training or even just going outside and putting your AirPods in and listening to doing a power walk.
To a walk,
right?
Yeah.
When we first knew that we were going to get the bike and I downloaded the app, I did some of the runs, the like guided runs, and I was like, this is awesome. I was so excited about it. And this was before we had the bike. This was when I just downloaded the app and tried out some of the classes like that. Yeah.
So what was your first class? Do you remember what your first
my first ride
was?
My first ride was a hit and hills class. I was being very
oh my goodness.
Pretty courageous.
I know. I was like, I'm in shape. I can do this. It was so funny. I think it was with Olivia, and I was okay. Maybe I'm not who I thought I was.
You picked a doozy.
So I think that's probably why in the beginning I didn't ease into it. I didn't take a beginner class. I thought like, I'm just going to jump on and do this, which is probably a mistake for some people where you kind of get intimidated after that first ride and you're like, oh, can I do this?
Yeah, it can scare you off.
Yeah, right. So I feel like when people ask me, because I actually just spoke to a friend whose husband ordered one this morning. He finally pulled the trigger. He decided like we're getting one because she's going to have a baby any day and they're trying to figure out how they're going to stay active with a baby during this pandemic, and we don't know when things are going to open again. So we were talking about it, and I was telling her, like, just start slow, try all of the instructors. Don't freak out if you think, oh, this isn't for me. Like, it is for you. I'm telling you, it's for everyone.
A couple things I'm going to add to that, which you can tell her, is one is they've actually just launched a whole lot of beginner classes. So they're really cool beginner classes that you can go on and you can search them. I know Ali Love did one. I think escaping. I just saw Ali's one this morning. So that's the first thing, is the beginner classes are no question, even like the low impact. To start out with like a 10 or 15 minute low impact is good. So that's the one thing. The more important question is, please tell us that you gave her a referral code. Did she use your referral code?
She had already purchased it. I know. She had purchased it. Somebody used my name for a referral code, and I got like $100 thing in my email, and I was like, who sent me this? It was like Christmas. I was so excited.
Yeah, because they don't tell you.
Get this? Yeah,
they don't tell you what's wrong.
But I was so excited. I got myself a couple.
Monica, stick with John and I. Stick with John and me. We're like the referral code, like, I hate using the word, but whores. We give our referral codes out. I mean, I had to switch and use my husband's because I'd used up all of mine. So I had got all my husband's referral codes and mine.
Oh my gosh, I'm really missing out right now because I want to see apparel.
You get 12 a year. So my wife and I had both maxed ours out, so we had like a little competition. So now we're starting out at 0, and I just got one my first of the year. But yeah, they can fill up quick.
They can fill up quick. They can fill up quick. I think I mentioned that to you, John. I've already had 4 people. I've got four of them are off.
Look at you.
I'm telling you, influencer Amanda.
I can't believe how large this community has grown. I mean, I'm not really certain how big it was before, but I'm shocked at the number of people on some of the live rides.
Oh yeah, it's exploded since the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
Really, just when quarantine happened, the numbers just blew. Everybody was home.
Yeah.
And even Robin would like poke fun early on, like at the start of quarantine, like joking, like everybody's working from home right now in air quotes, because we're all on this ride together.
I took so many classes with Robin in the early days of everything closing down because she was so encouraging. She's so positive. Yeah. I just felt like I needed. It was like a meeting with like a therapist every time I got on the ride with her. I'm like, am I crying again on another ride? Am I crying again?
That's my wife's favorite. Robin can do no wrong. And
I love Robin. I love her so much.
But I want to just share with you, you're so humble. I can see how modest and humble you are. But do you realize that you played a huge role in this? And there is no question in my mind that, honestly, Monica, I think that the name, Peloton's name, truly became a household name from the commercial. And then, as the pandemic hit, all those, nasty haters out there that had spoken about, this Peloton being this terrible thing because it's only for thin people and husbands buying wives gifts, went out and purchased these bikes. I mean, Peloton exploded. I was looking at some statistics. I mean, I think that they lost $1 billion because of that ad. And then how it all turned around, and look at them today. John Foley is laughing at everybody. So,
I laughed so hard on one of Alex's live rides recently where he was like, for all of you people that made fun of our holiday commercial last year, welcome to the family. And I was like, I was on that live ride and I messaged him afterward and I didn't think he would respond. And he responded. And I was like, they're like celebrities to me. I like freak out.
Oh, yeah.
It is so funny. I mean, well, it's so funny that you say celebrities. My husband tells me that I'm a stalker and that my favorite is Leanne Hainsby. So Leanne Hainsby, she's one of the okay? And we message each other and
really?
She doesn't message me back. I'm like, Mark, she hasn't seen my message. She hasn't messaged me back. And he's like, you're a goddamn stalker. Leave the poor woman alone. I mean,
Leanne has to block Amanda.
I've been trying to get Hannah to respond to me. I'll like respond to her like stories and I'll and I'm like, when's she gonna respond to me? Yes, I love her. She's so funny.
Well, she just shared one of my stories, so I was very excited.
Oh my God.
When she reposted one of my Insta stories.
And isn't that the what's fun about it? Is that we're all part of a community. We all have something in common. I was just saying to a friend just this morning, who I met through this. I've never met her. But we speak every day. We talk about what rides we're going to do.
Oh
we
my
talk about
gosh.
our love for Leanne.
It's like you guys are pen pals, like the old school pen pals that we used to do.
Right. And it's a little bit of competition. I mean, it's so cool. It is an amazing.
And it's good when you know the person that you're like doing the healthy competition with, because sometimes at the leaderboard, I'll high five the people ahead of me and then I'll pass one of them and I'm like, oh, I hope they don't think that I was like saying like, ha ha ha, I'm passing right now. I'm really just wanting to high five. John, you do the same thing. You're the high five master. I like it too. I'm like, yeah. I get all fired up and I just start high fiving everyone.
I'm telling you, now you're going to see it. Now you're going to see it. Once we get your name out there and everybody's going to be high-fiving you, it's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, I love it. I was so excited when I shared my leaderboard name on the clip out and they shared it, and all of a sudden I had all of these people, like normally when I would go on, it would say like it would hardly ever say I even knew anyone that was riding at that time. And now when I go on, it'll be like 35 people are riding. And I'm like, yes, this is so exciking. Sometimes I'll go into the ride, high five the person, and then leave the ride to
jump out.
The ride that I was going to do.
Yeah, you do a little drive by.
Yeah. Drive by.
That is funny. So who do you ride the most with? Who do you find that
lately? Cody, for sure. I've been riding so much with Cody, and I think it's because it's been so long since I've had a social life, and he makes you feel like you have a social life when you're on his rides. Like you feel like you're just talking about like things you don't like and things you like, and all the songs. I don't know, just something about him makes me feel like things are sort of normal, and I just lately he's just been so. Like any ride that he puts out, I'm like, oh, I gotta take it. So he's my favorite right now. But I love Hannah too. Hannah reminds me of, because I played sports growing up, she reminds me of that like very natural athlete that was nice to everyone, but better than everyone at everything. Do you know what I mean? Did you guys have someone like that growing up that was super humble and unbelievably athletic, and that you just felt like you wanted to be around them? Like that's who she reminds me of,
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So, like every instructor has their catchphrase. Alex says, "This isn't daycare." So, which slogan or catchphrase, I guess, do you have a favorite one, or one that you most identify with, or maybe a personal mantra that you use? Because I know I have mine.
Is it fix your wig? You better fix your wig. Check your wig.
It's not that deep. You're close. It's not that deep.
Fix your crown. Fix your crown.
Adjust your crown.
Those.
Yeah.
I like those. Those make me laugh so hard because it just makes you feel like you're like all of a sudden you stand up a little straighter. You have like a little more attitude. Definitely probably fix your wig or fix your crown, because Robin only rides with royalty, and you're like, yes, that's right.
I love when Robin says, she puts her head down, she puts her hands in prayer. She goes, I just said a prayer for your worries. There's something, it always cracks me up. Or when Alex says, walk it like you talk it.
Yes.
It gets you fired up sometimes.
Oh my gosh. Alex really, really can get me fired up. Like if I really feel like I have no energy, I choose one of his rides every time.
Oh yeah.
He has so much energy. I'm like, how many Red Bulls are in your body right now?
And I feel like there's some heavy hitters on that leaderboard. So like I always bring my A game on an Alex ride if it's
your
live.
Your numbers are crazy. When I've seen you on a ride, I'm like, what are you? Is there a machine on your bike like turning the wheels?
I tell John always.
A lot of people will probably say that.
I tell John always. I said, I see that you're on the leaderboard, but I know that I'm never going to be able to high five you unless you high five me first, because you're laying up there.
No way.
So
I would not be able to touch him.
I said, you and I can stay down at the bottom, over the middle of the leaderboard, wherever you are. I haven't ridden with you yet, other than with that Jen ride. I was on Jen's ride with your amazing 200.
Oh my goodness, that was such an unbelievable shout out.
Was that your very first shout out on a ride?
Yes, that was my first ever shout out. And I don't know if it would have happened if other people hadn't been aware that I was going to be on the ride, because I wasn't going to message her directly and just completely get, ignored, because I just assume none of them can possibly check all their messages.
We have to teach you the way to do it.
Oh my gosh, I need to know.
Tag them, you gotta message them. You gotta demand that they do it.
This is Amanda's advice.
Yeah, because you are not friends with all of them because of like.
I have my one little friend, and she's amazing, and she calls me out on all my milestones. So it's fantastic. I'll stick with Leanne. I love her. Yes. To you.
Yes.
I'm very spoiled when it just comes to random shout outs, so I don't put out there like I don't ever say like I never even tell anyone I'm doing a milestone. I just like to do it and cheer everybody else on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I did my 100th ride, just like a random ride, and a bunch of people high-fived me, and that felt really, really good. You know, I always high-five the people who have milestones. Like, even if I'm like missing my ride a little bit, I'm always like, oh, I got to get them all.
Like pop up on the left, right?
You got to clear them out,
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you haven't had the benefit of being able to ride in studio. You know, John's an absolute
Oh my gosh.
icon in the studio, but I have been able to ride in studio, and that experience is just amazing. So that has to be something you have to kind of, put down on your wish list for studios open back up.
I was in New York in February of last year, and I was like, why didn't I try to plan to go to a live ride? Like, this would have been so much fun. I like just hadn't planned it. It was like kind of a last minute job that I had, and I had this downtime during the days, and I'm like, I could have gone into the studio if I would have planned ahead.
That's when I was last there, and they have all these free walk-ins during the day. You just pick a bike. Yeah. It's great.
I didn't know that. I thought you had to like make an appointment like months in advance or something.
For a lot of them, you can reserve them, a week, I think, in advance. But during the daytime, they want to fill the studio up, so they make those the free walk-ins. So they can get some people on camera in there, and then you can pick your bike like an hour in advance. And
That's
basically,
so awesome.
I would have loved to have known if any of them would have known who you were. Like, could you imagine?
That was another thing where I was like, what if I walk in and they're like, what is this? Like, what are you doing here?
It's like worlds collided.
Right? And I had just gotten my bike, so I'm like, I'm going to look like such a wimp because I've only had my bike for like a few weeks. And
well, she's ridden in both. She's been in London and New York, so she's gotten the taste of both.
Oh, that's amazing.
I have, but it is amazing. I have to say, again, having met so many new folks that have joined the Peloton community over the last year and haven't had the ability to ride. The riding in the studio, there's just a level of adrenaline that is amazing. And you're right, they are like celebrities. Interestingly enough, and I've shared this before, but unfortunately, what's happened in the States is that it had become, while the studios were still open, it had become such a big thing, and they are somewhat celebrities to us, etc. So there was a little bit more of more people waiting to meet them afterwards, and that whole thing in London. It was and that is really why I created a relationship with Leanne the way that I did, because they're so personable, and it just was very different. I mean, I have the cutest picture. At one point, Peloton had released a lot of the instructors. Do you remember that, John, when they came out with the black and whites that were like you could have them as screensavers on your phone? I don't know if you remember that. They had brought out a lot of them, and there were these amazing pictures of them, on the bike, black and white. And Leanne was my screensaver, and I had gone into the studio, and I'm shameless. I mean, just shameless. And I'm like, show her my phone, and there she is in the back, and I'm showing her this, and she's like, oh my God, she was like blown away that she was on my phone, and
that's so cute.
Just. So cute. And I have and they captured pictures. The staff were taking pictures, and they had captured pictures of her doing it. And for me, it's just a memory that I will hold on to forever, because, here I think that she's so fantastic, and she's happy that she's on my screensaver.
Right. So, and then when we see them so much, they don't even realize like how close we feel to them. Like even the director of the commercial told me, he said, I saw one of the instructors that I always, he didn't tell me who it was, but I wouldn't have known at the time anyway, but he was like, I was on vacation and I saw him on Fire Island, and I was freaking out because I ride with him every single day, but I forget, like he doesn't know who I am,
Right.
That sounds like Cody, Fire Island.
Probably. That's what I was thinking. I always, now that I look back on that, I'm like, he must have been talking about Cody.
Yeah.
Where did they shoot the commercial? Did they do it in LA or did you have to come out to the East Coast?
No, we were in Vancouver.
Ah, okay. So they shot it in Vancouver. Yeah, because I remember the snow. You find
no, that was fake. That was fake snow. It was not snowing at the time. It was a little chilly, but it was like September or October when we shot it. Yeah.
Hollywood. I guess I should know better, right?
Yeah.
it doesn't
I remember some people were saying like, why are the trees that tall at that time of year? I think there were some people that were like looking a little too closely at everything in the commercial. We're like, where's the cord? Where is it plugged in? We're like, come on, you guys.
Right, exactly. So tell us one more thing I'm dying to find out about. So I know through all of this, you got a gig with Cameo. Tell us about that. Has that been fun to do?
When they first reached out to me, it was like at the height of all the craziness in December, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it. People are going to ask me to say things that are going to be embarrassing. I don't want to do it. And then I don't remember when it was, but I ordered a cameo of someone from that 90 Day Fiancé show for a friend of mine. And one of my friends and I watched like every episode of that show. And when I saw that he was on Cameo, I'm like, I have to get one of these. And after I watched it, I was like, he seems so nice. And it's like this totally different way of connecting with people. And so I thought, maybe I should do it. Maybe I should, like, I don't have to do any that I think are going to make me look bad or that are embarrassing. And most people are very, very nice, and they just want me to say, congratulations on your milestone, or some people it's their birthday, and it's always so much fun. And a lot of the people that I've done them for have reached out to me on Instagram, and I've like chatted back and forth with a lot of the people. So it's been really, really cool to be able to connect with people in that way. And it's on my terms. I don't really turn down many of them, but it's really fun. It's really, really fun.
So any weird ones?
Oh, yes. One person recently messaged me and said, like, what would you like take a pie in the face? And I was like, no. I was like my cut on Cameo is like nothing compared
That's
to
not
what
worth
it probably is. Like, it's not worth it. But it's just like some of these people are just weird. Like somebody used the direct message portion where you can send someone a DM for like $3 or something. And he said, what can I do to have you take my money? And I said, huh? I didn't know. I was like, is this somebody that I know? And they're like, no, I want you to take my money for like pedicures and stuff. And I was like, eee.
There are some crazy folks out there.
Yeah, some weird
the feet people are pretty forward, They go right for you and ask you if they can pay for a pedicure because they want a picture.
That's super
I'm like, you do not want a picture of my feet. I wore no shoes most of my life. I was an athlete. They're not feet that you want to pay to see.
That is clearly, that is clearly.
I've only had one cameo, and it was from my wife. And it was from the actor who played Kenny Banya in Seinfeld.
Oh my God.
Are you serious, John?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I feel like I saw you posted that or something like that. I feel like I've seen it.
I might have posted a little snippet.
Yeah.
I've been doing stories a lot, so I posted a little snippet. But
I think I saw it in the stories.
Yeah, he was super funny because he did it in the character of Kenny Banya, and so it was just hilarious.
Oh, that's the best. See, they're really fun. Like you wouldn't even expect them to seem like they're that much fun, but I always open up the free, because they only give you a really small amount of space to put your request in.
Your message,
Yeah, and so if it's not super clear, or if I feel like the person probably wanted to try to ask for more specific things but didn't have the room, I always open up the DMs for free, and I like just turn on free messaging, and I'm like, did you get to ask everything you wanted? And I'll go back and forth, and I've had to re-record a couple where the instructions weren't that clear, and so what I said didn't really make sense. Like one guy was getting one for his girlfriend, and I said, your husband got you this, and he was like, can you re-record it and not say husband, because now she's going to expect a ring. I was like, no
charge.
I don't want to get you in trouble on Christmas Day. You're getting her a Peloton. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's fun. You know what? It's something fun, I guess, right? And right now, I'm sure that work has probably slowed down for you. I mean,
Absolutely.
what's going on with it? Is there? Can you talk about it? Is there anything? Is there anything?
There
Yeah,
were
the CUN that's upcoming.
I was doing The Bold and the Beautiful when everything shut down, and then they were the first production to go back. So we went back in like June, and it was so strict. So that was really interesting to see how creative they had to get to make things look a certain way on camera. The camera people did an unbelievable job. And then when I finished up that storyline, my episodes were done. And since then, I've done like, the kind of the cool thing is that most of my auditions are self-tape auditions now, so I get to do them from home. So I usually do them after my kids go to bed instead of having to figure out a way to get childcare so that I can, drive, round trip a couple of hours to go do an audition that takes, a minute. So it's been convenient in that way. I actually did a commercial that we shot at my house on my iPhone. That was really weird. Yeah, but they were just like, people's iPhones are really great now. The cameras are really amazing. So we're just making this an option. So we did that. And then I just did a little guest spot on a show called Call Me Kat that just started. And it's going to be... It's actually going to be on this week, this Thursday. What's the date this Thursday? It's
16th, I think it is.
Yeah, so the show came out, they showed it on a Sunday, and then the second episode was on their regular night, which is Thursdays on Fox. So I got a little spot on that show, and it was so much fun to just be on set with those legends. So,
what's the show about?
It's Mayim Bialik, who she was Blossom.
Oh, yeah.
And she was, she's a huge star. So it's based on the show, why can't I? It's like I'm having a brain fart right now. It's based on a British comedy about a woman who is single and opens a cat cafe. And her mom is always trying to get her hooked up with people. And she really wants her to get married, but she's 39 and she has a cat cafe and she's really happy. She really likes the way her life is. And so she has all these people that work with her that are cast members. And then there's a bar next door with a college friend who owns it. And so all the characters I just really love sitcom formulas. They make me feel safe. I don't know. When I watch a sitcom, it just feels like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think it's such a funny show.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, I'll have to take a look at that. I love her. Yeah. She was great.
She's so funny on the show too.
Very funny. Very funny. I've definitely seen her on a talk show, and she's hysterical. That's really fun. Well, I guess kind of managing, as you say, being home now with your two little ones, and I'm sure your husband, it's crazy with the restaurant.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's working open to close, right? Because they can't have a lot of employees, and so it's just me with them most days. He actually has today off, and he's holding one of them upstairs while the other one's taking a nap. So I'm thinking one of them might come down here in a minute and interrupt, but
we love it.
Just keep eating on that bag.
It's so funny to say that because our interview last week, actually, we had a little one call in. Our other co-host Mark had his granddaughter come in.
I mean, it's so unavoidable these days. It's so hard to avoid.
Everybody's home. We're just
that's totally the norm.
Yeah,
exactly. And we are just so grateful and so thrilled to have had you on. We don't want to take up any more of your time. You have been an absolute pleasure. I knew you would be.
So much fun.
You are just the sweetest. You were just so lovely when we started DMing each other. It's.
I felt so bad, but like I said, I felt so bad, like being like, yes, I'll get back to you this day. But I'm telling you, my kids. Mondays and Tuesdays are the days I get everything done because my husband's home. So,
and I got to you right around Christmas time, so it was right before Christmas, and it was so funny because John and I had just interviewed John. I heard your shout out, and I called Chris up and I go, I gotta get her on the show, and he's like, all right, it's all you. So of course I go and do it. I reach out to you. We have the back and forth. John gets to now become this, co-host with me.
Yeah.
Which is actually it's like Monica's now on I'm like, I'm taking credit for Monica. John sealed the deal, but I reached out to Monica first.
No, I mean, I love talking about this now because I really couldn't talk about it before because I didn't have a bike.
All right, Monica. So to end our chat off, we like to do a fun segment called Descending Recovery. It's a 60-second descent and recovery. I'm going to go ahead and fire away some questions to you, and I'm going to have you give me the answers, and we're going to see if you can get them all in 60 seconds. Sound good?
Okay.
All right, let's go. No, you don't need any cliff notes. It's easy. It's fun. And you just tell us what's best for you. All right.
So I'm not going to have to
go.
spell anyone's name or anything crazy. Okay.
No.
No pressure. No pressure.
No. All right, let's go. Bike or tread?
Bike.
Favorite instructor?
Right now, Cody. Like I said, it changes, but right now, I'm all about Cody.
Right, you got it. High cadence or high resistance?
High cadence.
Early bird rider or night owl?
Night owl. Afternoon owl, but more night owl.
Perfect. Meditation or strength training?
Strength training. I need strength training. I probably need meditation more though, but.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
And live or on-demand rides?
Live. Oh my gosh. If you can get on a live ride, those are the best.
Exactly. And favorite class you've ever taken?
Obviously, the one where I got my shout out, my Jen Sherman sing-along ride. And not only was that an amazing ride anyway, that ride was also very, very fun regardless, but that was,
Absolutely.
shout-out ride.
That wasn't right. You did brilliant, and you got them all in 60 seconds. Look at you.
What's your favorite Cody ride though?
It might be the Britney Spears ride. It might be the Britney Spears ride. It's really good. The most recent one that he did though, where he was like, these are all mom songs. I was like, oh my God, I'm such a mom because I'm like singing along.
His Backstreet Boys, I think I've done that one the most.
Oh my gosh.
The Backstreet
Boys.
Yeah.
I love when he goes off about his favorites and stuff. It makes me laugh so hard.
Oh yeah, when Kevin is the hottest Backstreet Boy.
Oh my God,
or when he talks
all
about
about
NSYNC,
Kevin.
when he talks about NSYNC and he's like, JC's doing all the work and not getting any of the credit, and I laugh so hard because JC was my favorite, so I totally am there with him.
Well, he's very anti Justin Timberlake because of Britney. So
Right? He's like, I'm Team Britney. Sorry.
Yeah.
So does he not play any? I can't remember. Does he not play any Justin songs in?
No, he
Rides,
does.
He does. Yeah.
He just makes it clear where he stands.
Yeah. And he makes it clear where he stands about Taylor Swift too.
Yeah, it's true.
He doesn't hide that.
That is hysterical.
Oh my God.
That is hysterical. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up and let you go. But we are
Thank
so
you so
appreciative.
much. That was so much fun.
So appreciative. It was fun. You've made this into such a wonderful, wonderful interview. And
So your leaderboard?
My leaderboard name is Moniru, Moniru. So very original.
I can tell you right now that you are going to have a slew of new leaderboard followers.
Good. I love it. I try to go through and follow everyone back, but sometimes it's a little glitchy and it will make it look like I didn't follow someone, and then I'm like, well, what if they just didn't approve my request and now I'm requesting them again and I'm looking crazy? So if you get a double request,
the big question is, are you thinking about changing it now to something catchy, or have you given any thought?
I want to. What happens if you change it? Do all of the people that you follow and follow you back know who you are still, or
no? They'll just unless they look on who they follow, they're not going to get any kind of notification that you changed it. Yeah, they'll just see that it's different.
I get so inspired by all the great Kenny Banya type names, and I'm like, why didn't I think of something better when I was signing up?
I know, mine's so boring. Mine's my Instagram handle, and I've said it's so boring, but I just can't change it now. I feel like it's got to just.
I know.
Right?
we made our decision, and we got to stay with it.
You just gotta stay with it. I love Money Roo. I think it's cute.
Thanks.
I have to tell you, and it's an easy one for the instructors to say.
Yeah.
So, and that's
Yeah.
what sometimes a lot of them are hard for them to say. I'll see the instructors
Yeah.
often saying, "Am I saying this right? Am I doing
I
this
know.
right?" And
I know.
clearly, we know that Kenny Bania has its issues. So I don't know if I would go with what John.
Yeah, the pronunciation. Yeah, well, that was a struggle for Cody, but Cody finally he caught on. He
That's
learned.
so funny.
And
We
Alex
just gotta get
doesn't say
Alex.
it. Yeah,
No,
Alex
Alex
just doesn't
is
say it. Just
that's a
kidding.
lost cause. Yeah, Alex gets a pass.
Oh,
Alex gets a pass. Absolutely. Well, Monica, again, thank you so much. We have learned so
Thank
many
you.
wonderful things about you that I don't think a lot of
Yeah.
people knew.
No,
so I'm
definitely
glad
not.
that we. I know. I feel very honored that we got some insider information about the Monica Ruiz, and we're no longer going to call you the Peloton Wife. You are now Monica Ruiz, or better known as Money Roo.
Yeah. Your best interview yet, Monica. The
absolutely.
best.
Yours too.
For sure, exactly. Well, from us here on the East Coast, we wanted to say thank you and looking forward to seeing you on the leaderboard.
All right.
for
I'm going to
now.
get on there later. Bye.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, Monica.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, John. So wow, that was such an awesome interview. I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as we did. Interviewing her, right? And we interviewed her a week before, so we didn't get to chat to her about her Bernie meme and popping that up on her social, but she did.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't see. She doesn't post a whole lot, in her Insta stories you see here a little splash of Peloton related, but then it's gone, a day later. But
Right.
yeah, it was so funny to see her post the screenshot from her commercial of her on the bike with that now infamous meme of Bernie Sanders, sitting with his hands folded with the mittens and his mask
Right.
on, sitting
Right.
outside the window, watching her on the bike.
in Boston.
Yeah, in Boston. And it was perfect because there's all the snow out there on the deck of that house that she's, riding in.
So it was perfect.
it was perfect.
I mean, it was perfect. It was perfect. Well, everybody, yeah.
And it was funny because in my stories on Insta the other day, I just posted a different meme, but of Monica, holding her phone, doing the selfie, on the bike. But
Yeah.
on the bike, on the tablet, was a picture of the Bernie meme.
Oh,
and
how
I tagged
funny.
her. I tagged her, and she messaged me and said, "Haha!" And then she sent me the picture. She said, "Someone just sent that to me." And then she ended up posting. That was the picture she posted
How funny.
herself on her page.
I love it.
It's
I
great
love
to
it.
see
Yeah,
her-
we've certainly had
her sense
some
of
good
humor.
laughs. Exactly. We've
Yeah.
had some, and there have been tons of Peloton ones, of course. I mean, sitting outside the Peloton studio waiting for it to open.
Yeah.
He popped up there, and he popped up at a couple classes, and it
Well,
was very fun
even
to
my
see.
own, where I dressed up on the bike.
Yes, of course. It's on your social. It was too funny. Well, again, folks, thank you so much for taking the time to take a listen. We've loved presenting yet another week of Peloton stories to you, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Yeah, so from me here in Maryland, bye for now, everybody.
And from me here in Michigan, I will see you on the leaderboard.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
Kenny Bania, tell us about your worst date ever. Ooh, okay. All right, so there's this one time I went to this guy's house and we had a drink and we were just like, okay, we're about to go on the date. And I was like, oh yes, this is gonna be great. Then we go outside and he opens a pack of cigarettes and starts smoking and I was like, I gotta go through a whole 2 hours with this bitch. No, next. Oh.